Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Weekly Pulse with myself, James Garner, and Yoshi Sornak.
Hello.
You are both of us today. Neither of us are on holiday, which is always good, although
It's
I'm
like,
sure
it's like we
that
are though, because it's
listeners are.
absolutely sweltering.
We are recording this on the hottest day of the year officially, and it is extremely, extremely hot, even at, what time is it now? 7:45 at night. So we're braving through this for the listeners so we can keep bringing you all the fantastic stories from the world of AI. Yeah, there's a number of good stories this week. The newsletter dropped on Monday morning, and the one that I went with, Yoshi, this time as the one thing not to miss, even though it wasn't covered everywhere, I thought this was massive, and this was Bill Gates coming out. Bill Gates of Microsoft, formerly of Microsoft, I guess, because he retired or he's not the CEO anymore. But he's talking about 3-day work week. So we've heard a lot recently about UBI, Universal Basic Income, about 4-day weeks, around things like that. But what Bill Gates actually says in his article, I think it came from a podcast that he did with Trevor Noah.
Yeah.
He says that 3-day work weeks could become a reality thanks to AI. And what he says is that AI could handle a lot, as we've talked about a lot of the routine tasks, allowing people to work fewer days whilst maintaining productivity. And he thinks this shift is all about improving the quality of life, giving people more personal time. So I guess that's working on personal projects, working on creative projects, etc. But he did stress within the same podcast the importance of upskilling workers to ensure that there's a smooth transition. Because, of course, it's not going to be a case of we wake up one day and, oh, by the way, we're all on 3-day work week. This will happen over a period, I would imagine, over the course of a decade or so. It will slowly become the norm. But to do that, we've got to ensure that we're upskilling the workers and we go through this transition period. But the reason I put it as the big thing is because he's a big voice, huge voice, kind of the godfather of software and IT in a lot of ways. And him shooting in with this view just backs up a lot of what Elon Musk has been talking about, what Sam Altman has been talking about. And it's getting more and more into the public consciousness now. You know, it's becoming normal. Okay, another person saying this is coming. And I know we spoke last week about the fact that actually human beings have always just made work expand to fill the time. But perhaps there is something different happening here. And when you take it into account with what we're going to talk about with a Figure 2 robot soon, I just think, you know, we may have to start changing our expectations of how we work. What did you make of it?
Yeah, or not work. So he basically says, we can free up time to do things that we actually love, helping elderly people and spending more time on art, etc., etc. And it's actually counter. It's different to what he did when he was younger, right? So he believed before when he was running Microsoft that, sleep is for lazy people, and we don't want that. We need to work, and innovate. But now as he's gotten older, he's left Microsoft, he's kind of been a bit more receptive to, saying, we can actually work less, but still deliver a lot more in the use of AI. So I think that was quite a very cool concept. I think it's a lot more reserved than what Sam Altman had been saying, a fully fledged UBI and American Equity Fund. This is a lot more reasonable, I would say.
Yeah.
And I was coupling this with some research I read the other day from think tank Autonomy, and it was saying that AI productivity gains could allow 28% of the workforce in the UK and the US to move to a 32-hour work week by 2033.
Yeah. Which is about the same, isn't it? It's about the same. Yeah.
So it's a lot more of a reserved outlook. What I would say though is that if we don't move to a form of UBI and we're still working, that will still maintain that disparity between those who are, able to leverage AI, the more people have a lot more money to leverage it, and then those who are unable to leverage it. So
well, it risks making that gap bigger, doesn't it?
Yes.
So we have to tread very carefully.
Yeah, so it's almost as if do you stick in the middle, do you stay where you are, or do we move to the fully formed UBI concept, which is, a lot different. So
yeah, but he's not the only person. There's also the JP Morgan CEO, a guy called Jamie Dimon, who also said that the next generation of workers will have a 3.5-day work week. So they're flitting between full UBI, as Sam Altman's talking about, or Elon Musk, to 3.5, 4-day work weeks. So I think you're right. I think the natural transition will be to, you can say 3.5-day work week, or you can say a kind of a longer weekend. But what would you, let's say that was implemented tomorrow, what would you do with that time? Because I know for me, I'm not the kind of person who could just sit about doing nothing. I might do it for a couple of weeks when I'm on holiday, but I have to fill my time up with something I'm passionate about, which is why I do this with you, of course,
Yeah.
because we are passionate about trying to improve project delivery. But I think there's a lot of people in the same boat as us who just, what does that actually mean? What does a 3-day work week, what does it mean if work doesn't feel like a chore? Maybe you don't want that then. Maybe and there's a lot of people who might lose their purpose.
Well, we just spoke to Alistair Lewis from
Yeah.
ADD Marketplace, and he said one of the advice that he got him when he started his startup at the time was to make a hobby, monetize your hobby, right? Something that you like to do. So I think for us and someone like me who's a serial starter, I'll be starting many different passion projects, and who knows, one of them might stick.
I'm never finishing any though.
You're never finishing. And also, if you look at a few other things like the OpenAI's roadmap to AGI, right? So it's the advancement of AI. There's 5 levels, and level I think 4 is the ability for AI to help with innovation, to innovate,
to train itself effectively.
Yeah, so we'll get to a position where if we do reach UBI, obviously we'll then be at a very strong position in terms of the maturity of AI, and I think it will give a lot more people to be able to innovate new things using AI for different purposes. So I think actually we'll elevate our creativity as opposed to just saying, and also it releases the shackles. You've not got to work anymore. We should be celebrating.
Yeah, but as I say, that's a double-edged sword because, I like the thought that creative people could spend their time being creative and bring in that human element, spending more time on the human element. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. But I think we've got to the point where we can't just say it's Elon Musk being Elon Musk, because he does that. We've got a catalogue of people all saying the same thing now. So it has to be taken pretty seriously when it comes from those people. But then, this kind of speaks to that as well. The next story was the Figure 2 robot. So there's a number of these advanced humanoid robots hitting the market. You've got the Tesla or Elon Musk one. Figure 2 have just released one that looks incredible. And, you take that into account, this is going to sort of help bring that 3-day work week to reality, because a lot of manual labor, a lot of people have thought that AI is only going to help the professional world, but I think we're seeing more of these robots now, which are of course powered by AI. They're going to start moving into the manual labor and to be able to do these complex cognitive activities. And this Figure 2 robot, so we'll put the link to the video in the show notes, but it's also in the newsletter. It's incredible. It's got proper human-like agility. It moves a bit weird at the moment. I'm sure it will get better, but it's got AI decision-making abilities with human-like agility, and it's got the range of motion on its hand, because that's like the most complex part of the human anatomy, apparently.
Yes.
Which is close. It's not quite there yet, but it's close to a human hand. And basically, this thing is being deployed in BMW workshops. And it won't be long, in my view, before they're being used on construction sites and infrastructure sites. And it kind of makes me very, very aware that when we talk about AI, we're not just talking about the AI models. When we talk, especially in projects, we're talking about how AI is going to be integrated into these other technologies, such as robotics, to change the manual labor side of things as well.
Yeah, and it's worth knowing as well that within robotics, they use multiple different AIs to actually power the robotics. So I think it was the Figure 2 robot is powered by NVIDIA's, I want to say, Isaac Sim model, which is an environment where you can actually test and train AI robots itself. So they've actually got specialized developmental areas, to kind of mature a lot of these technologies. But one thing I thought that you just picked up on, James, it walks a bit funny, but one thing that I've noticed that they kind of ignored the movement, the walking aspect, right? So because it can still maneuver, but the dexterity that it has in its hands enables it to do this high precision, placeful tasks. So when they deployed it out in Spartanburg, BMW, the robot's actually being deployed within a production environment.
Oh, it's a real. Yeah, this is actually happening.
This is real. Exactly. So when we compare performance across a lot of LLMs, we always say, okay, let's look at these different, lab tests or kind of theoretical tests that we run, but then seeing it in the real world is different. Now, this Figure 2 robot actually passed successfully a lot of the tests deployed within that BMW, to the point where they're actually looking to bring it out of early stage development all the way into production in terms of building BMW vehicles.
So it surpassed some of its expectations, effectively.
Yeah, and I was looking at some of the stats about it. It stands at 5'6". It weighs about 70 kilos. It moves at a speed of 1.2 meters per second. It's got a good battery, etc., etc. But in
Well, the
regards to the
battery's
hand,
improved 50. I thought that was really interesting. The battery's improved 50% from figure one.
yeah, and you mentioned about the hand dexterity. It says so. This is the fourth generation human scale hands, and I was looking at what the fourth generation means. One of the key things that it can actually grip at the same strength of a human, which is quite interesting. So there were some, anthropomorphic linkages that you could see, because even in terms of the aesthetics, when they put the wiring through, they put it under what they call the robot skin, which is a bit like our veins and arteries. So I was a bit like, this is quite scary. Not scary, it was quite interesting. But yeah, it's incredibly impressive what they've done, and I wouldn't say it moves better on the feet like that the Boston company does, but it looks really good. And using these sort of technologies in industries where there's labor shortages, like construction, for instance, can save a lot of time and productivity.
Yeah, I think there'll be a watershed moment, and I don't think it's going to be long, because it's in the manufacturing warehouses now. But there'll be a watershed moment within the next, I don't know, I'm going to hazard a guess at the next 18 months, where one of these robots is deployed on a construction site, and it will be an eye opener. I think that will be one of the big things in construction, because whilst it's affecting the professions, i.e., surveyors and engineers and architects, it's when it's used on site, I think people will wake up and say, okay, construction, actually raw construction, what's happening at the coalface is now being impacted by artificial intelligence.
Yeah,
and
remember,
because it's robots, it kind of talks to that innate curiosity that we've had since we were kids about Terminators and
and remember, this is aligned with, we were looking at the investment a few weeks ago into AI, and one of the biggest investment areas was computer vision. So we know that hardware and robotics is going to be a huge part of AI moving forward in the next couple of years for sure.
Yeah. So that's all good stuff. We'll post a video, as we said, for you to have a look at if you're curious, but it is pretty impressive. Just a quick story. I know you wanted to cover the strawberry, OpenAI strawberry stuff, but I just wanted to point people in the direction of the newsletter for news about the UK government funding 98 projects. So they've allocated 32 million to 98 various projects through the Technology Missions Fund, that they're calling it, which is all about boosting economic resilience and positioning the UK as a leader. And we talked about this last week about the mixed messages from the current UK government. But these are all sectors. So it's not just construction, it's construction, energy, healthcare, all kinds of projects. And the focus is on using AI to enhance productivity, create high-skilled jobs, streamline project management. So it's good to see that happening. And I know £32 million sounds like a lot of money, but in the scheme of things, when you divide that by 98 projects, all of a sudden it doesn't sound so much per project. But I think you can applaud that, the fact that there is stuff happening. This is all being delivered by UKRI.
Yeah,
we just want to see more of it, don't we? And we want to make sure that this money is being used in the right way, and that it's not just being. I'd love to know what the criteria is for making sure that the companies that are getting this funding are actually using it. What's the measure of success? How can we make sure that this effectively taxpayers' money is being used to properly drive AI innovation and not some kind of tick sheet?
Yeah, this I found interesting, and funny enough that you mentioned the number, because it falls to like £320,000 each for each development or solution within that. Now, that in comparison to the US is a big disparity. So I was doing some research in terms of what that would look like, and within the US, we're seeing the National Science Foundation alone invests over 700 million each year into AI research. US senators have involved in AI policy roadmap calling for 32 billion in annual government funding to keep American AI ahead of China. So the disparity between the two of them is huge. Now, this new investment into a lot of these startups had me thinking, okay, what was Labour's approach at the time? They said that they wanted to be a lot more cautious of where that investment was going, but also they were scrapping short-term R&D cycles. So they're doing these longer term, I think 10-year R&D cycles. And for me, I'm then thinking to myself, okay, if you're going to give some of these companies this spread of 32 million, is that money really going to last the 10 years in terms of what R&D cycle is? Because we know...
Well, it will just get them off the ground, mate. I think that's all it will do. It will get them off the ground.
That's what I was thinking. And we're aware that, HMRC are kind of a lot more strict now about R&D developments and where the funding goes. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But I was looking at some of the actual startups that they're actually investing towards, and there's one called
Yeah, because
VLab.
there's a list. They've published a whole list, haven't they?
Yeah, this one here was
Yeah.
VLab, and they received 165,000 to further develop software powered by AI to help people train in the construction sector. The system offers
Yeah.
immersive scenario virtual-based simulations of real construction sites to efficiently train workers on risk assessments and safety protocols, helping to ensure the UK has a skilled workforce to deliver infrastructure the country needs. It's really interesting because this interplay, we're saying we're going to see robots on site, but we're also seeing how people are going to be developing health and safety techniques on construction sites to be a lot more productive. It's going in the right direction. It's looking at how that interplay will play out, really.
Yeah. I mean, there's some really interesting ones on there. I mean, it's worth having a look at the whole list. There's one, the vision-based system for proactive management of safety on construction sites. There's other industries there, but a lot of it's very, very vague. So there's improving productivity with AI data capture and analysis for creative industries. There's a good spread of different projects, but I guess their thinking is, they invest 32 million. Just one of them becomes a huge company, then it pays for itself.
Yeah.
So it's spreading the bets a little bit. So to be applauded, it's better than nothing, like you say. Yes. But it's we've got to keep up. There is no choice. As an economy and as a country, we've got to keep up. Before we turn to your discussion about Strawberry, I just wanted to talk about quite a heartening project story from Eric Schluntz. Eric Schluntz was the co-founder of Cobalt Robotics, and the reason I wanted to bring this one up was this is a real use case of what the future might look like, because he shared how he had a biking accident recently that left him with a broken hand.
Yeah.
And he's a coder, and he had to rely on AI tools for coding. So he used Claude, and he discovered that AI could take over much of the routine coding tasks that he was used to, and that allowed him to maintain his productivity despite the fact he'd broken his hand. And so over 2 months, he used this AI to write over 3,000 lines of code, do some tasks, automate some tasks, focused on some of the complex aspects of development. And basically what he said is, for him, it's just that AI could become an integral part of the software development. And he's basically saying he wouldn't go back. It's changed his workflows for good. Sometimes this is the way to really test something. You force someone into an issue. We know it's going to take a bit longer to take hold in the real world because people are just resistant to giving up workflows that they're used to. But this is a real story, right, of somebody who has actually had to go without the use of a limb. And because of that, they've had to turn to AI, and they've actually come back saying, I won't go back. Interesting.
Yeah, that's the bit that I love. He said he's not going to go back. And I think that's a very clear indication of that he's bought into the power of these models.
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't want to say too much more on that, apart from check out the story. Just a bit of an anecdote more than anything I just wanted to share. But before I go to the last bit, did you want to, I know you're quite keen to talk to us about Strawberry, not the fruit, even though it is strawberry and cream weather.
Yeah, well, I found out that the name Strawberry, so basically Strawberry is OpenAI's purported latest model, and the way that it's been developed is whereby it's a specialized post-training process. So basically it's where models can iteratively generate their own training data to boost their intelligence, right? So there's a lot more autonomous, so we're getting AI training AI basically. Now with Strawberry, the way the name came about was apparently that AI models would initially struggle to count how many letters there was in the word strawberry even. And I thought that was quite a cool name. But there were hints of it going recently. So I think Sam Altman put a picture of strawberries out in his garden, and he loves strawberries this time of summer. Yeah. And there was another Twitter account which was posting quite frequently. Everyone thought it was like a fan account, and it was asking a question, and Sam Altman replied. So were these kind of teasers of what it was going to be. Now, in terms of the capabilities of Strawberry, apparently it's supposed to be a model which is the next level of 2. AI. Level 2. So for those of you who don't really know what that is that there's 5 levels to AI in terms of the roadmap for AI, and this is what OpenAI have released. So level 1 is chatbots, so AI with conversational abilities that we know, ChatGPT, and now it's level 2, which is reasoners, so it's human level problem solving. Now, the other 3 that we'll go on to, which we should hit within the next few years, is agents. So people talk about agentic AI, so systems that can act autonomously, do their own research, connect to third-party tools, etc., etc. And then there's innovators, which is AI can help invent new technologies. And then finally, organizers, where AI is capable of completing organizational tasks independently. So in terms of reasoning, Strawberry is supposed to be it has the ability to reason without much information, much like how a human would reason, and it's quite smart. So I did see someone give an example where they asked a question about, Sarah's put 5 ice cubes into fire in 1 minute. Another minute she put another 5 ice cubes, and a third minute she put another 5 ice cubes, and asked a few questions about what's the average and how many ice cubes are left. Now, typically, mathematically, you can answer that, but you can also reason and say if you're going to put an ice cube in a fire, there's going to be nothing left, right? So I saw the test and the comparison with some of the models. Strawberry got it right. Claude got it wrong, and I think a few of the other models got it wrong. So Claude got it wrong, and it was Google's Gemini which actually got it right.
Oh, really?
Now,
okay. Yeah,
what Strawberry did was quite cool, though, because it gave, this is where it comes to kind of the human level reasoning. It didn't just say 0. It said the most likely outcome will be 0. However, because if you put the ice cubes in the fire in the 3rd minute, there might not be enough time for it to melt. So there might actually be X amount. So it had that level
really
of reasoning.
Thinking like
it's really
like a
thinking.
human brain.
So I think with this model, you'll be able to answer questions and kind of get a straight shot answer without having to give too many examples. Like we mentioned before with AI, it's good to use some techniques to get the real answer that you want out of the model.
Is it GPT-5? Is that what Strawberry is, you think?
I hope not, because there are other questions that it kind of struggled with.
Right, okay,
So I think there's one question, like if you had 2 twins, if you had twins in a room, how many would you need for there to be a 50% chance of their birthday being on the same day or something? And you would just say 1 because they're twins born the same day, right? Something like that. And it got it wrong. So that its performance isn't amazing. But like I mentioned, the technique to building Strawberry seems a bit different to some of the others. Like I said, it's been self-trained. So they're obviously trying out new methods for training. And like I said, in the future, I reckon we'll be in a position whereby humans are no longer training AI. AI will be training itself because of the sheer amounts of volume of data that it'll be picking up. So I think
and what it'll be seen about on a 3-day week. So.
Yeah, so it's kind of like this more of a slow step to then jump up is what I'd imagine. But yeah, it is a new model and there's a lot of hype going around online about it.
It's interesting because there was another story in the newsletter saying that OpenAI is starting to downplay their dev day. I think I can't remember when it is. It's in October, I think, their dev day. So kind of reducing expectations about it being GPT-5. So maybe Strawberry is, a hold. It's a version of GPT-4 like 4.0 was.
Yeah, and it's worth mentioning as well because of the commercial pressures and all this sort of stuff. OpenAI are releasing quite a lot, or they're looking to be. I know they've delayed Sora and a few other minutes, but this...
And voice mode, I still don't have voice mode, which I'm extremely annoyed about.
But Figure 2 is also an OpenAI thing, right? I think it's in collaboration with OpenAI. So
it is in collaboration.
They are releasing it, and they could be turning to computer vision with, robotics. They might see more market signal there for them to develop that further than other things. So that could be it. But it's all holistic. It's all one big system, really.
Well, we'll find out. I've applied for tickets for the Dev Day, so if I get tickets, we can do a podcast from there.
And you can also test out the new model as well on LMSys.
Exactly.
People do want to test it out. You can check out LMSys Arena, where you can use the new model.
Right, before we head off, I just want to play a quick clip just to sort of see the episode out with us. I'm going to share my screen very, very quickly. And this is a clip from the old co-founder of Google Brain, I believe. And he was on a podcast recently and he said this, and it's about 2 minutes long, but I just wanted to see what you made of this, Yoshi.
For the last 10, 15 years, there've constantly been a small number of voices saying AI is hitting a wall. I think that last statements to that effect were all over and over proven to be wrong. I think we're still far from hitting a wall, and I'm surprised that anyone even seriously say that at this moment in time. AI technology, which is a general purpose technology, has advanced so much, and there are advances that are just breaking now, or even in the near-term horizon, that the set of tasks we could do with AI is just growing rapidly. At this moment in time, a lot of attention on generative AI and large language models. The set of tasks we can get them to do, frankly, significantly surpasses what's actually been deployed so far, and it's actually very clear that more inference capabilities, more GPUs or other types of hardware is a bottleneck to just getting a lot more AI out in the world. And this is a problem that we know will be solved. There are very strong financial motivations to solve the supply chain, be it GPUs or other types of hardware. So even if AI stopped inventing any new tech, there will be a lot more deployments in AI in the next few years. And of course, the even better news is there are also new tech on the horizon that's stacking on top more and more S-curves that drive even more applications in the future. There are already, I think, a lot of good, I would say, pretty validated ideas that drive significant ROI that for, frankly, whatever capacity types of reasons that will absolutely get solved in the next 1 or 2 years have not yet been deployed. So this is why I'm 100% confident there will be a lot more valuable AI projects. It's because the bottleneck to getting them deployed is stuff like, GPU supply chain, right? And so those GPUs will get made and more projects will get deployed.
So what did you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I don't think it will hit a wall. And I think the infrastructure is a problem right now. And it was a problem in the last 2 AI bubbles that we mentioned before. And then we can see that because NVIDIA have just delayed a few of their chips as well recently.
They're Blackwell, yeah.
They're Blackwell. However, once we break through and solve the challenges within the supply chain and the infrastructure, I think it will start to grow exponentially. I'd also say it's a bit like network effects as well, AI, right? You get to a point where everyone's starting to use it, everyone's starting to develop it. Cream will rise to a top, and it's only ever pushing new forms of AI. So do you know what I mean? Like, there's more to choose from. So the best solutions will be about, I think. So I would definitely agree with that.
Yeah, because I was on a panel earlier this week and someone said, what's different? We've had the AI winters in the past and we've seen the hype cycle go before. And what's different this time? And I wish I'd seen that clip before I had that call, because that basically answers the question. The difference this time is it's all there. In fact, we've got a backlog of it. We're just waiting to break through this bottleneck. And that's even if we stopped and didn't do anything now, we'd still probably have years and years of AI innovations ahead of us. But we're not going to stop. In fact, we're going to speed up. So we're going to stack and stack and stack on top of that. And, this is someone extremely smart. And he didn't say I'm 99% sure. He said I'm 100% sure.
100% sure.
He's not going to put his reputation on the line. So, I love putting the clips like that from these super smart people, because it does kind of bring it back down to what we're talking about. There's people a lot smarter than us who know where this is going.
And this is also aligned with the government. So the UK government, for instance, one example, did say they're going to spend a lot more money on data centres. They've made it more of a significant build. So in terms of technological development, infrastructure development, it's aligned across private and public sector. So I think it's going to keep growing. I don't see it stopping. I think, and the more people use it, the more use cases there are. So it's just going to expand exponentially.
Yeah, I think we'll try and get one of those clips on each of the podcasts going forward. But I think that's all we got time for today. For anyone listening to this podcast on the beach or on your holiday or sipping a pina colada, whatever you're doing, please enjoy the rest of your holiday. I'm off on mine next week, but don't worry, we've got all the podcasts kind of lined up to make sure that we don't miss it or skip a beat. We will see you next week. On Friday, we have got an interview with ADDD, which is a construction tech marketplace. So do tune into that to find out more about that. But until then, we will bid you farewell. Any last words from you, Yoshi?
Yeah, I just want to reiterate what the guy said. He broke his arm. He tried AI, he was forced to try it, and now he will never go back.
Yeah.
I think it's quite a powerful statement.
I think that's the bombshell we should leave on. So until then, we'll see everyone next week. Bye-bye.